On this episode of Three Tool Players, the championship series are underway in both the American and National Leagues, and we're here to break it down. Who's setting the table for the Brewers? Is the Blue Jays' bullpen spent? Are the Mariners inevitable? And do the Dodgers have the best rotation in the playoffs? All this and more on this episode of Three Tool Players. Welcome to Three Tool Players. I'm Chris Spear, and alongside me, as always, are the Hammer brothers, Brian and Dan Hammer. Say hello to the internets, fellas.
Hello to those internets, fellas.
Ahoy, ahoy.
Well, here we are. It is the championship series for both the American and National Leagues, and sadly, neither one of the Yankees or Phillies are represented. My condolences, boys.
No, I don't want to talk about it.
Well, Dan doesn't want to talk about his feelings. I'm just going to give an abridged version of them. We had a lot of holes glaringly hanging out in our bullpen, but our starting pitching decided to take a knee going into the division series and got smoked. We can definitely talk about the post-mortem after the World Series, but I can't wait to dive into what went right, what went horribly wrong, and what went incredibly ugly for our respective teams. And not to throw any shade at Little Hammer, but sometimes I'd like to gather myself when balls hit back to me and I have first base available to me while this guy's chugging out of the box like 60 feet away. But you know what? Instead of just going, oh, good, I'm going to, rush my throw home and have a walk-off error. I don't think that's happened in postseason history ever. So I'm not sure if that guy's welcome back to your team, Dan, or the great city of Philadelphia for that matter. Pitchforks and torches aplenty, I'm sure, in the Delco.
I'm going to have to take a look and see if there has ever been a walk-off error in the postseason. I don't think I've ever seen this before. I've never experienced it in my lifetime. This could be the first.
Actually, it happened twice this MLB postseason history. Most recently, 2025 NLDS, Dodgers and Phillies, and previously in the 2016 ALDS between the Blue Jays and the Rangers. Ooh, the Blue Jays. The other guy happened to be Josh Donaldson in 2016. He scored on a winning run on a throwing error by, I do remember this play. Odor did have an errant throw, which would have been the final out of an inning-ending double play, but that also was straight Basoto. So, by the way, he's also responsible for laying out one of the best, cold cocking punches in Major League Baseball history, if you recall.
No, I don't remember that. I mean, the only one that I remember is Jose Ramirez and Anderson.
So for all of those that may have forgotten this, it's definitely worth going back to check out your YouTubes to understand that Odor laid out Jose Bautista. It was not pretty. In fact, he hit him so hard at second base that his little sunglasses fell off of Jose, and he just didn't know where he was for the next 20 minutes or so. And a very small but powerful punch.
Well, hopefully there's no punches thrown in the American League and National League Championship Series, because there's a couple of good ones here. The Mariners and Blue Jays and the Brewers against the defending champs, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Let's start talking about the Championship Series with the American League. And I'll ask you guys this question first. Are the Mariners inevitable? They have pitching in the rotation and in the bullpen. They have the hitting with the big dumper mashing. But Seattle managed to win the division series despite an overall team batting average of just 207. Some of the key bats in the lineup, like Eugenio Suarez, who posted a .095 batting average with 9 strikeouts. Now, they did break out in Game 2 of the ALCS, and they are up 2-0 against the Blue Jays. So the question is this: did they just get lucky in the divisional series by winning in some high leverage spots, or are they the favorites for the American League?
So I'm going to take this one first, Daniel, if you don't mind, and I'm going to let statistics kind of speak here. Not only did they go up 2-0, but they went up 2-0 on the road. History has shown that close to 90% of teams win that 7-game series when they take 2 on the road and then they come back home. When you're talking about the division series, yeah, they went toe-to-toe against a team that finally woke up in the Tigers. You just had some amazing just pitching from Skubal. You had some clutch moments. It was a really fun series to watch, but I think it's something that Seattle needed to become battle tested. I think it definitely stretched them out a little bit. I think that it got some of that muscle memory going and reminded them of why they're such a great team to begin with. At the end of it all, to answer your question, I say they are inevitable. That this is a team that has never won a pennant, never been to the World Series. It's time. It's been 48 years. They've got a lot of things going for them, pitching, hitting. It's great to watch these two because the way that Toronto handled the Yankees, it was tough to watch. Our Cy Young hopeful, Max Fried, gets smoked. It was awful to see Rodon get hit. And then, of course, once you get to our bullpen, then it's better's choice, right? The Blue Jays came to play, and now the Blue Jays are walking into this buzzsaw. So I believe that Seattle, to answer your question, Spear, is inevitable.
It's fun to look at their team. They did the moves that they had to do during the trade deadline, bringing in Josh Naylor, bringing in Suarez, just to beef up their lineup. They already had a decent lineup to begin with, but adding those two bats to an already stacked lineup with Cal Raleigh, Julio Rodriguez, I mean, they're built to win. Their pitching has held together. Their pitching has been above average in comparison to the rest of the league. But matching up the Mariners pitching and hitting, they're the team to beat.
Like with anything else in the playoffs, it comes down to clutch performances. And Jorge Polanco might be a candidate for MVP of the playoffs because of what he's done in clutch situations. He hit 2 home runs off of Skubal, which were the only 2 runs scored off him in game 2. And he's come up clutch in every late inning situation. According to ESPN.com, Polanco is the first player in Major League Baseball history to have a go-ahead hit in the 5th inning or later of 3 consecutive playoff games. So the Mariners have had some clutch hitting, they've had some good pitching, and they've had the big dumper dumping balls all over the ball yard. I don't know if they're inevitable. There's a vibe there, you know what I mean? And you like that good vibe, but you got to remember the Blue Jays mashed against the Yankees. They out Yankeed the Yankees. They out hit the Yankees hitting balls out of the yard. But the problem with the Blue Jays is that they massacred their bullpen in game 4. They leveraged their bullpen to win the game, but it was at a cost. The bullpen's high usage likely contributed to their struggles in the first 2 games against Seattle, where the team has allowed 13 runs over the first 2 games. So the question for you guys is, do the Blue Jays have enough to get back into this series?
Anything can happen. I mean, that's the wonders of postseason baseball. Now, in terms of that 90% that I mentioned earlier, there was another team that was in a similar situation back in 1996 during the World Series, and that happened to be my beloved Bombers. And they went down 2-0 against Atlanta. So if you're on the side of statistics, then you're going to say Atlanta's got this. But if you have heart and you believe and you're going to hang on to that 10% as hard as you can, then anything could happen. And that's kind of what I like about both of these teams, right? They both have explosive offenses. You know, as the season goes on, it's going to be who can stand up to the pressure and who cannot in those big moments. And deep down, I'm rooting for them because, Toronto already has tasted the World Series victories, and one of which Dan still tries to forget.
Thank you for reminding me, Brian, of the 93 Blue Jays and Joe freaking Carter. But, taking a look at their next matchup that is going to be in Seattle, Shane Bieber is going for the Blue Jays. And if you guys remember Shane Bieber, he was phenomenal when he was with the Guardians.
Right.
But you just wonder what Shane Bieber is going to be coming out in game 3. Is it going to be the Cy Young Shane Bieber or the one that Father Time has taken a little bit off his velocity?
Not to mention the fact that he's never been the same since he broke up with Selena Gomez.
Wait, that was Justin Bieber.
Yeah,
That's
you're
Justin
an idiot.
Bieber.
Don't.
Who
Yeah,
now?
do not.
So what now?
But anyway, getting back to it, George Kirby has been pretty good in the postseason. Yeah, his regular season, his numbers weren't there this year, but he's stepping up when his name is called. So I do like the Mariners' chances moving forward, being up 2-0 and being in their house for the next couple games. I hope the Mariners get a shot to win their first World Series.
The Blue Jays got to where they are right now by scoring a lot of runs. They won the first 2 games against the Yankees by a score of 23-8. It
I
was
know.
10-1 in game one and
I
10 and
know.
13-7 in game two. This is a team that has the potential to score a lot of runs. The other thing I'm curious about is whether or not the Blue Jays are here a year early.
We didn't even talk about the elephant in the room, and that's Bo Bichette being on the shelf right now. You talk about a guy who was a massive contributor, someone who's definitely going to get the bag at the end of this season, right? And unfortunately, he's on the little injury side of things. But I mean, a guy that's batting over 300 throughout the season, gives you really great pop, almost 100 RBIs. I mean, you're definitely missing his bat. You're missing some of that chemistry in the postseason. So definitely, keep that in the back of your mind too, as we look through the rest of this series.
Yep, that's for sure. Being down 2 games isn't necessarily the death knell for a playoff team, but like I said, the Mariners have mojo. The Blue Jays might be there a year early. So it says here that the Mariners make their first World Series appearance in franchise history, and they will await the winner of the National League Championship Series. But before we move on to the National League, just one more note. I want to talk about Tarek Skubal just for a second, because Tarek Skubal had a tremendous playoff run. And just if you remember, Skubal and the Tigers agreed to a 1-year, $10.15 million contract for the 2025 season on January 9th, avoiding arbitration. He has one more year of arbitration, becoming a free agent after the 26th season. The question is, does Tarek Skubal deserve more? How are the Tigers going to keep him after the 2026 season? He's 29 in November, and he's just finished a season that is likely to secure him his second Cy Young Award. He's going to get the bag. Does he get an extension before the 2026 season ends, or does he likely end up a Yankee or a Dodger?
Let's just say this. Let's say if he does go to arbitration, they're going back and forth on numbers. How is that going to make Scooble feel? Well, you're just riding this out and you're not signing me on to an extension. Or maybe he's thinking to himself, I want to go somewhere else. I want to go to somewhere where I know that I'm going to be able to compete every single postseason. So you never know what's in the player's mind, if he wants to stay Tiger for life or if he wants to move on and find greener pastures. The Tigers, they will do themselves a service by trying to land him with a multi-year contract during the offseason.
I gotta kind of agree. And the thing is, he's young enough right now to command those dollars. He's going to go through his last year of arbitration. It's probably going to be somewhere in the 20 to 25 million range, given his performance and his pedigree. He's been relatively durable, I'd say.
The last 2 years, probably he had 31 starts in 24 and 31 starts in 25.
Yeah, so he's been very durable for the last couple of years. Thank you for that, Daniel. I would say that he just keeps getting better and better. I agree with your statement, Dan. The Tigers have to jump on him now. The Tigers have to pounce, as they say.
So I have 2 words for the both of you guys, and those words are Scott Boras, who happens to be Scooble's agent. He has never backed down from getting every available cent that is due a player of Scooble's caliber.
He's not a nice man.
So whatever the Tigers are going to have to pay to keep him on the team, it is going to be a lot of money. It's going to be a lot of money. And the Tigers haven't thrown around that kind of money in a while. The previous late owner, Mike Ilitch, was a little bit more free spending. The son, Chris Ilitch, hasn't been as much. The other option they have is to trade him. So
Absolutely.
You could see Skubal on the market next year. If the Tigers aren't in contention before the trade deadline, you could see him on the market, and people will line
As
up.
a
Any
rental.
contender will line up immediately to have him as a rental, and then hang the cost and see if they can win it later and sign a big contract once you got him on board. If not, the Tigers can keep him. They play it out through 26. They play a little footsie with him, but it doesn't go anywhere. And he ends up in pinstripes or in Dodger blue, which if you want to talk about something feeling inevitable, that feels inevitable to me.
Yeah. Well, spend money to make money. And, if Detroit wants to be a part of that, they can. And you know what? I hear what you're saying, because maybe Detroit is still feeling the back end of or I should say the hangover effect of that Miggy Cabrera contract, right? I mean, they signed him for a lot of donuts there for a very long time. They basically paid for his previous performance, but those last like 3 years, man, they were just dog years. So I can understand where you're coming from there, and Detroit kind of being a little gun shy in terms of pulling out the wallet. So, I think there's fun options here. I do.
All right. Speaking of Dodger Blue, the Dodgers shut down the Brewers the other night, including Jackson Churio, the superstar outfielder for the Brew Crew. Offensively, Churio is driving the bus for the Brewers. He's been driving it all the way through the playoffs. He drove it through the divisional series. Across 5 games in the divisional series, Churio posted a 389 batting average and a 1.088 OPS, racking up 7 hits, including 2 doubles and a home run, and driving in 6 runs. His 6 RBIs accounted for nearly a third of Milwaukee's total series RBIs. Now, if you're going to bet the farm on a young star, while it worked in the divisional series, it's not necessarily going to continue through the championship series and through the World Series. Sometimes people get hot and then they cool off very quickly. If it's not Churio, where's it going to come from in the Brewers lineup against a rotation that the Dodgers have that's really coming into its own right now?
I was really annoyed. I was really annoyed that LA took game one. This is a team that I think universally people want to see the Dodgers lose at this point because they are such a behemoth. They have all the good toys, right? They've got all the money. They've got all the star power. And you've got just Hollywood against, what would you call it?
Middle America.
Middle America, like it's the average Joes they were calling themselves, right?
Yeah, it's David
and
versus Goliath. It's
Yeah.
big market versus little market. It's everything you want in baseball right now. And the best part about this series is if the Dodgers win, people will be lining up saying, "Oh, we need a salary cap and the Dodgers are outspending everybody and they're buying championships." But if the Brewers win, the Brewers have one of the lowest payrolls in the major leagues. So it'll be like, oh, look, see, we don't need a salary cap. Even the little guys can do it. But the little guys have to do it. If it's not going to be Churio, where else are the little? Who are the rest of the little guys who can become big guys? Who's there in the Brewers lineup?
And that's tough too because looking up and down the lineup, you have some decent names. I think there are some players there that could kind of rise up. Contreras is one of them. You can get a lot of action out of Durbin over at third base. Haven't seen a lot of power yet from him, of course, but somebody who still knows how to get on base and help create run scoring opportunities. It's just the thing that you got to love about the Brewers is it could be anybody. That's what's scary about their team. Anybody could rise up. Anybody could be the hero. I think that's why they all pull for one another. These guys are working Joes. They drum up a lot of fandom and a lot of support. They're going to ride on emotion, but emotion doesn't always get you through. You're going to need a lot more than that too. So I think that's where the Dodgers come in.
You take a look at this team, you take a look at the Brewers team, and like you don't see like these glamorous names like Shohei Ohtani, like Mookie Betts or Freddie Freeman. But you take a look at their lineup, like the only one that stands out is Christian Yelich. But there is something that really makes this team mesh. They are a scrappy group. They know how to steal bases. They know how to manufacture runs. And this is the reason why that the Brewers were the number one team in the MLB. They know how to manufacture runs. They are good in clutch situations, and they have a decent pitching rotation. So putting all of that together, it's a recipe for a decent squad to make it far. This is the reason why that they're in the NLCS. You can say that like William Contreras is probably like maybe like the most glamorous. He's one of the best catchers in baseball. There's a reason why that like his pitching staff is doing as well as they are. But other than that, I mean, like, what can you say about the Brewers other than they're a scrappy bunch and they are a tough out?
And Dan, to add to that, they need to win tonight, game 2, because going down 2-0 and then back to LA, that is a huge, huge like on taking there. So, Spear, what are you gonna say?
Well, they got to score runs, and if they're going to score runs, you need to set the table. And their table setter has always been Yelich.
Yeah.
He's the table center for the power bats in the lineup. He had a 265, 316, 679 slash line in the divisional series, which isn't bad, but he isn't setting the world on fire either. He's the one that really has to get going if the Brewers are going to have a chance against some really good Dodgers pitching.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
speaking of Dodgers pitching, the Dodgers beat the Phillies in a 4-game series with a collective sub 200 batting average. That's an extreme statistical anomaly in modern baseball. The they didn't have any sustained offensive pressure, which means that the Dodgers had to rely entirely on run prevention, meaning their pitching was lights out. Blake
Hmm.
Snell is pitching like a man possessed. Otani's pitched well. Glasnow has been good. And deploying Roki Sasaki as a high leverage, multi inning closer for a couple of saves has been a godsend for Dave Roberts. What do you think the Dodgers' chances are now of keeping that momentum going and keeping the Brewers' bats quiet?
Well, I got to say this. Freddie Freeman is a bad, bad man. What a bad individual. He just shows up last night for game one and he's like, hey, remember me? I was a hero back in 2024. I know how to swing a bat. Watch this. Goes yard. He's waving to the fans. I mean, that guy needs to be tripped on his way between second and third base. Someone's got to, sweep the leg, take one out for the team there. But all told, there's a lot of danger coming out of LA. The Dodgers, it's just like mix and match time. Okay, pick your previous MVP here, insert here,
Yep.
Cy Young winner, and it's crazy because you got a guy like Blake Snell who's literally been on the shelf for most of the season, and he comes back all fresh from his injury. He came back in September, and he's just mowing people down. It's like not even fair how sharp he is right now. Oh, by the way, you got a new closer from Japan who came to you as a starter and had all kinds of hiccups in his delivery and hitch, whatever you want to call it. And he goes, works on a couple of mechanics, says, oh, you know what? The brass has asked me to be a reliever. You know what? Let me give this a try. And something just clicks for them. And all of a sudden, up until last night, he had basically no blemish coming out of the bullpen. And he was lighting up the gun around on 100 miles an hour. And he was back to his old form. Up and down their lineup, like we said, it's toys galore, former MVPs galore,
Former
probably
Cy Youngs, Blake
former Cy
Snell,
Youngs, former
Otani.
Cy Youngs,
Like,
Otani. You have Babe Ruth, who was reincarnated twice over in Japan, came over here. It's complete Armageddon when it comes to what LA has. I mean, they've got all the firepower. They
Well, l-
absolutely do.
let's take a look at 1 through 6 of their starting lineup tonight. Otani, Betts, Friedman, Will Smith, Max Muncy, and they have Tedascar Hernandez batting sixth. That right there, 1 through 6 is absolutely scary.
on paper, but Otani has been asleep throughout these
Oh my
playoffs.
God.
And he
And
has
wait
to
till he
wake up.
wakes up.
Yeah.
Wait till he wakes up, and then it's going to be like lights out for everybody,
So,
So
but that's well,
that's
my
what I'm
point
worried
is
about.
the Dodgers offense hasn't clicked in yet. So
And they're
even
still winning.
and they're still winning. The Dodgers pitching has been dominant.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
the question is whether or not they can continue to be so. They've having Sasaki coming out of the bullpen and pitching multiple innings of shutout ball has been ridiculous. I mean, it just adds insult to injury for everybody else playing them. It's like, oh, you saw Otani for 6 innings, you didn't score. All right, let's just roll Sasaki out there. You're not scoring anymore anyway. Blake Snell, 8 innings. Forget it. You know what I mean? It's like, what do you
Yep.
do? What do you do against this Dodgers team? And if you're reading the comments on our TikTok videos, if the comments on our TikTok videos are to be believed, the Dodgers have the best rotation in baseball, and pitching wins championships.
It does.
Snell, Otani, Glasnow, Yamamoto, who hasn't looked great, but if they can all hold down the fort and pave the way to Sasaki and the rest of the bullpen, the Dodgers are going to be nearly impossible to beat. I don't know if the Brewers have enough, if they're going to lean into Churio as much as they are. They got to get Yelich going. Contreras has got to keep he had like a 300 batting average in the divisional series. He's got to get going. But against these arms in the Dodgers rotation in the bullpen, that's a tough assignment.
It's a very tough assignment. And this is why I'm saying like game two is absolutely non-negotiable. The Brewers have to win. absolutely have to win. And they do have a little bit of a shot, too. If you're looking at a little bit of history, Yamamoto really hasn't had great luck against them. I believe he's 0-1. He only threw, I think, like 4 innings, gave up like 5 runs. Whereas Peralta has gone 2-0 against LA, but those haven't been pretty wins either. One was great. The other one was kind of mixed. He gave up, 4 or 5 runs. He still got the W because his offense bailed him out. But even in this postseason, Peralta in the last several starts has not been sharp. So you got to be a little hesitant. If I'm a Brewers fan, which I'm not, but if I was, I would be a little nervous right now.
All right, so prediction time. Let's pick them. Who are your World Series representatives?
Is this wishful thinking or actual thinking?
Actual thinking.
I mean,
why don't we do this?
Take your pick.
Why don't we do this, Dan? You say your National League pick. I'll say my American League pick, since our relative teams hail from those leagues.
I feel like the Dodgers are going to pull it out and get back to the World Series.
Yeah, I would agree with that one. And then on the American League side, like I said, it's Seattle right now for me, and I think it's Seattle's destiny to get to their first fall classic.
Yeah, so it'll be a West Coast matchup then, huh?
Which means none of us on the East Coast will watch. Muha.
I mean, I agree with both of those picks. The Dodgers were built for October and November now. They're built for it. They were built for it last year. They're especially built for it this year. I mean, they added Snell. You know what I mean? Like, that's how good. That's ridiculous. Like,
we don't need you, but yeah, come on by. We've got the money. Listen, I'll tell you what. We're so good. We're gonna pitch past Thanksgiving. That's how amazing we are. That's how
right.
far we're here to. Like, we're literally gonna break the wishbone and still be tossing up W's right out in the yard. Like, forget it. It's done,
and
Johnny.
Snell, hey, don't worry about it. If you need to miss a start, we got this other guy that's a DH and he can pitch maybe once in a while.
Yeah. You know what? Why don't you sit out for 4 months? We'll call you when we're ready for you. Okay, Blake? All right. Just keep running on that.
Cool your jets over there. You'll be fine.
I just want him on the bike, just be on the bike, get those repetitions in and keep icing that arm. And we'll see you in 4 months. All right. Thanks, buddy.
Yep. Yeah. And look, I'm with you guys too on the Mariners. Without a dog in this hunt, I usually root for history. So I'm rooting for the Mariners to make their first World Series appearance and to win their first World Series and to beat the defending champs. That feels good to me. So I'm rooting for the Mariners all the way. Please take down the defending champs, please and thank you. Do the rest of us a favor.
Agreed.
But I would say this, in a perfect world, having the Mariners versus the Brewers would be historical too, because neither one of them have a World Series. So if we can get both of them, I'd absolutely love it.
I would agree with you, Dan, but next time you say that, you should say that in like the movie guy voice.
In a perfect world.
In a perfect world.
Where there were no teams that have ever sniffed the Fall Classic. Here you are. It is the Seattle Mariners versus the Milwaukee Brewers. One team is drunk. The other team drunk on sake. Two teams battling it out for world domination.
Sushi versus bratwurst.
What is the better protein? You decide. Lean or just all kinds of trans fats?
Well, you know what? I think it would be great if we're talking about movie trivia and stuff like that, this would be perfect send-off for Bob Uecker.
Yeah, it would be.
It would be.
In his year. Listen, God rest that man's soul. And this could be that season. We just need a little bit of Bob's magic right here in the postseason. And
help us out from up there, Bob.
Yeah, seriously.
The other reason to root for a Mariners Brewers World Series is if you don't want a salary cap in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want a salary cap in baseball, then you root for the Mariners and Brewers to get to the World Series, and you root for the Brewers to win. If you want a salary cap in baseball, you root for the Dodgers to go all the way.
Yep. There's a very fast way for that to be enacted, just as fast as those robot umpires will be lording over our boys over the summer for years to come, and then obviously they'll enslave us all.
So we're all on the same page, Mariners and Dodgers in the World Series. Tell us what you think. You can check out every single episode of the Three Tool Players podcast on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, or on The YouTubes, make sure you smash those like, follow, and subscribe buttons. Smash them like the kids do. And you can follow us on TikTok at 3toolplayers and on x.com at 3toolpod. And for Brian and Dan Hammer, I'm Chris Beer, and we thank you for listening to this episode of 3 Tool Players.